Well, hello there, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Um, have you, first of all, happy Juneteenth. I hope that you're gathering today to celebrate a very historic period in our country, and that it's not just a day for barbecues and relaxing. We know that's what people are doing. Well, as you might know, normally I'm here with a group of amazing human beings on the Demystifying Government Contracting LinkedIn Live. Sometime we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. But today I decided to celebrate them and let them have the day off. And just like our LinkedIn followers, they hold me accountable. I get messages saying, "Are we going live today? Where are you? Did I miss the link?" And it is always just that little bit of pressure that I need to keep it going. So I do want to thank those who are committed to following us. And if you go to the previous um, recordings or sessions, you'll see all of the amazing people who have organically joined this community, some 2 years and running. So I want to say, I just kind of prepared a couple of comments. You know, I'm going to talk business because everything that I talk about or am concerned about is about business for the underserved and underutilized communities. But I'm only going to spend about 30 minutes with you. So if you can hang in, fine. If not, the recording is going to be there. Um, so I want to say, I'm going to talk to you about 19 considerations when targeting your ideal client in the government contracting space. But before I, get to that, I do want to encourage everyone to go to my profile, hit that bell that says "Follow me" or be notified when I go live. You can say, "I want to be notified all the time. I want to be notified sometime." But what I try to do is to spread knowledge about government contracting success, small business success. And so if you have something that you want to bring to a wider audience, feel free to not only follow me, but ring that bell and tag me. I do ask you to tag me only on those things that are about small business and or government contracting. But before I get started on my profile, the main page is a disclaimer. 9 to 5, I am a employee of the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. Everything that I say here, in any guest that I may have, it is all our opinions, our views, and all that we're trying to do is take publicly available information and our hundreds of years of experience and bring that information into context. So again, welcome to the GI Factor. It's a place where you can get insights, inspiration, hear about innovation, and many other things all around the government contracting space. So Juneteenth marks a pivotal moment in American history on the emancipation of slaves, of African Americans, and not just a day on the commemoration of freedom, but a celebration of resilience, progress, and an ongoing journey towards equality and economic empowerment. Well, when we talk about economic empowerment, economic legacy wealth, entrepreneurship is the greatest way to influence that. It's one of the reasons I'm passionate about it because as a retired colonel in the United States Air Force who spent her entire adult life or has spent her entire adult life enabling and supporting military members and their families all through entrepreneurship. That's hotels, restaurants, department stores, grocery stores, um, anything entrepreneurial that you would find in a normal city that's located on a military base. But having said that, no matter the fact I was in charge of $1 billion portfolio, another colonel in the United States Air Force with the same grade may have been in charge of a $500,000 portfolio, but we were paid the same. And so that's one of the reasons I'm extremely passionate about entrepreneurship, is because for the first time, it gives veterans and others in underserved communities an opportunity to determine what their version of success looks like. That may be 2 billion, it may be 2 million, it may be 200,000, it may be 20,000 or 2,000. It matters not. That success is determined and defined by the entrepreneur. And so entrepreneurship is a powerful pathway to freedom and economic independence. It gives you the opportunity, as I just stated, to build something meaningful, to create opportunities not only for yourself, but your family members and your community, and to employ others for them to increase their family's well-being. So in the spirit of Juneteenth and the number 19, I wanted to kind of talk about business success, especially in government contracting. And so today I'm going to share with you 19 considerations to think about when targeting your ideal client in the government contracting space. These particular considerations are after, I spent the last 12 years in the small business arena and kind of understanding. And I tell people, although, I retired after 27 years, I then was in business for myself as a subcontractor to several other small disadvantaged businesses. And as far as I was concerned, I was not successful. And so my passion for seeing you succeed is out of that. Then for the last 12 years, I've been watching what success looks like. I've seen and heard up close, front row seat with what success doesn't look like. I wouldn't call it failure. 50% of all businesses fail. If you're in business over the 5 years, you have passed the mark, the hurdle of, business resilience. But I'm just saying, I've seen some people do it right and I've seen some people do it wrong. And this government contracting space is much more complicated than people lead it to be. Many people are on YouTube, Facebook, all these different social media platforms, making government contracting seem like it is easy. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it is clearly not as easy as people make it out to be. So I encourage you to trust but verify all your sources. Anything that I'm telling you here, it is something that I know, something that I've experienced, something that I've seen. If you pay other people or you get advice from other people, I ask you to get, as the young people would say, get some receipts. Have they been where you are trying to go? Not just have they done it? Because many times people who are successful, saying how easy it is, are buying mattresses, gloves, chairs, tables, and there's nothing wrong with any of that. But it is completely different model than providing a service to a government client. And so providing products is different than providing services. And I just, one of the things I always talk about with the vet biz ladies and the women veteran CEOs that I talk with weekly, and a few good men. I don't want to forget, I do help a few good men, but it is that you have to determine, not only what is your market, but how does the market see you and value you? What value are you bringing to that market? And then how do you see yourself in the market? Many people come into this government contracting space, especially veterans, knowing that they've achieved and have a tremendous amount of skills, but they just want to give it. Well, your client wants to receive those talents, or now what we call in the government contracting space, capabilities, in a special way. They're going to tell you via the solicitation, we want you to give it to us this way, this frequency, this packaging, etc. And I think part of, one of the things you can do, whether you are new or old to government contracting, is to be constantly reevaluating how does your client want it. And what makes me say that is I talk to mature businesses, I talk to new businesses, and I talk to businesses in the early growth stage. And I'm always listening for their experience. And one, I'm honored that they share their success and their struggles or challenges with me. But here's what I'm going to say: whether you are a business that's been in 20 years, 13 years, 5 years, or 1 year, you're always going to be building business. You're always going to be in the business development arena. You're always going to be in the relationship building arena, and you're always going to have to reassess your target. As I say, an area of responsibility in the government, or when we were in the military, was we were going to a new area of responsibility where we were going to deploy. Well, in business, that's a new area of revenue, right? And so in that new area of revenue, that changes, just like that ARR changes. The Iraq of 10, 20 years ago is not the Iraq or Afghanistan of today. It changes. There's dynamics that have happened. And so even though it may not change drastically, individual clients and their needs may change drastically. And that's based on a lot of things. And so that's why when you are looking at your targeted customer, if you're going into a new agency, that's just like a new area of responsibility and a new area of revenue. And I've talked to, businesses that have had long-term 10-year contracts, and then now they're trying to figure out, why is this customer changed? And it wasn't this hard. And I used to just be able to go do X, Y, and Z. Well, the contracting officer or the program manager that was there 10 years ago is not the same one that's here now. They may have come up with new acquisition strategies, and that is, how they buy, what they buy, and when they buy it may be totally different. So that's why it's always important to be targeting your customer, reassessing your targeted customer. So here's 19 things. I'm going to go through them because I'm only got 15 more minutes. Again, I want to say welcome. And I hope these are of value to you. One, clarity of your goals. What is it that you want to do? Do you have a clear understanding of why you want to be in government contracting, other than everybody saying there's a lot of money there, other than people saying, oh, I'm a veteran, I'm going to veteran fairs because they have to give contracts to veterans. As I always say, that may be true. VA does have to give a large portion of its contract to veterans, but it cannot give or award a contract to every veteran. You have to compete, put in a proposal, and win that contract. And even if it is a veteran pool, it is just a smaller pool than a large business pool. There's no competition. It's just that the pool of competition has gotten smaller. Do you understand? Do you and your team understand and focus your efforts towards these specific goals? That's really, really important. Number 2. So the first one is clarity of your goals. Why do you want to target that customer? And then number 2 is, do you know who the decision makers and influencers are? This is so huge. It's so huge. I want to say it again. Do you know who the decision makers and influencers are? Because most people are targeting the contracting officer, or they're targeting people's names that are publicly available. Those may be senior people's and individuals' names, and then there's contracting officer's name. Well, there's a whole group of people in between that process who influence the program or the areas that you're trying to target. And one of the things, I tell people, I have not, deleted a contact since the year 2000. That's when I got my very first BlackBerry. And so, for some 24 years, I have been, collecting names and transferring them on Excel spreadsheets and updating them in phone to phone until now it's in the cloud and it just automatically transfers over. So even though I may have a lot of contacts in LinkedIn, I have more contacts in my personal phone because I didn't delete it. And some people say, well, why don't you delete it? I didn't delete it mainly because people's names, the places you met them are important, especially in the military community, because if you've had any kind of engagement that's positive with them, you've deployed, you've been on TDY or served with them, you can always go back. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram and other social media efforts and call them up and just say, hey, I'm doing this business now. How are you doing? Let me catch up on what you're doing. And in about an hour, and I just proved this, you can catch up with someone you haven't seen for 20 years. I saw one of my favorite bosses, Dave Peters, this past week. And we caught up since it was 20 years, it took us 2 or 3 hours to catch up. But my point is that we caught up and now we're ready to support and enable each other's goals. So the first one is clarify your goals. 2 is know who the decision makers and influencers are. You want to identify the decision makers and influencers. You want to develop an influence map that will help you get to the best route to those people. I've kind of got my own chart, the way I approach it. Then number 3, what are the client's values and needs? You want to understand each client's values. Identify what are some of their unique challenges and needs so that you can customize or align your capabilities and past performance with what they're trying to do. What is your target industry? People say there's niches in the riches. I believe that is very much so, but with kind of a tweak, right? So your target industry may be counseling. I love to use this example. A young lady spent her whole military career in Intel, in the intelligence community. Now, when she got out, she decided to get into mental health counseling. I said to her, I said, who's your target market? Oh, I'm targeting individuals and these people. And I said, well, why aren't you targeting people who are in the intelligence community? There's a lot of stress there. And I'm sure they would benefit from not only your expertise and certification in the mental health arena, but that you understand the environment that they're working in because you've been in the intelligence community. It's so important when you target your industry that you have credibility there. And it's easier to have credibility when you've already been in that industry. So even though she's doing mental health, the mental health piece ought to tie back to where she already has credibility. So focus your target industry on places where you have credibility and where your solutions will have the greatest impact. And don't just target an agency, target a specific organization in the agency where your solution will align perfectly. So number 1 was clarify your goals. Number 2 was identify decision makers and influencers. Number 3 is client values and needs. Number 4 is target industry. What's your target industry? So even if you do IT, there's health IT, there's financial IT, there's educational IT, there's all different kinds of IT, there's all different kinds of HR, there's all different kinds of training. There's different kinds, different sectors and agencies where you may do one thing that's core, which is IT, but it could go across different agencies. If you do case management in the Medicare, Medicaid, you can do case management at the SBA. You can do case management in VA. You can do case management. Guess what? In NCAA. How, whether you know it or not, when if a college gets in trouble, that becomes a case and an audit similar to the factors that they determine for a case to outcome for a benefits or for any other. Guess what? NCAA has something similar. Target your geography. This is very tricky, especially in large agencies like the VA and like DOD, like energy, because many times you may want to serve, let's say you want to serve in Vision 5, which is on the East Coast. But guess what? The East Coast acquisition person may be somewhere else. It may be in New Jersey. It may be in Chicago. It may be in Maryland. But the physical place where that particular service will be provided might be on the East Coast in the DC, Maryland, North Carolina, or wherever area, or Maryland area. So understanding where your clients are, where the buying power or influence or arm is of that is very important. Then, a lot of people want to go for the big agencies. So number 6 is target size. So I just talked about number 1, clarity of goals. Number 2, decision makers and influence. Number 3, client values and needs. Number 4, target industry. Number 5, geography. Number 6, target size. I had to put this one in here because everybody's chasing the big guys, right? The DOD, the VA, the HHS, the energy. I'm trying to think who else the big 5 completes the big 5. But everybody's targeting the large agencies because there's so much money there. Well, also with that, a large organization comes more complexity, comes more bureaucracy. So don't ignore the smaller agencies. So when you go to USA Spending, look at those small agencies and administrations that may be down near the bottom. Because they're less complex, they may be, you may have easier access to get to them, and you may be able, it may be easier to provide your solution at a smaller scale and get past performance at those smaller agencies before going to the larger agency. So you've targeted target size of the market. What is the target buyer? What is the ideal profile of your buyer? In the commercial arena, a lot of people, if you're doing B2B, people will say, oh, I want to support businesses that are at the $5 to $15 million, level. Or if they're coaching, they may say, I want to coach someone who is, in the C-suite that's at, $350,000 to $500,000 in salary. It's very similar. You may want to target your ideal buyers, but your ideal buyers should drive your revenue model and your business model. Because if you decide that is my ideal buyer, they only buy in a certain amount, certain way, that buyer, i.e. the federal government, the school district, the transit and port authority, all of those, the colleges and universities are not changing their particular way they buy because you sell it that way. So you have to change how you sell that thing to be congruent and aligned with how the buyer buys that thing. So If you decide you don't want to do that, you don't want to change your business model, your revenue model, the way you sell something, then you are now in search of a client that is, or a buyer that buys in the way that you sell. Either that, or you are going to sell to individuals or businesses who will take that particular product or service exactly in the way that you sell. So that number 6 was target size. Number 7 was target buyer. Number 8 is attributes of the ideal clients. What is the, ideal situations that make your value proposition like, oh my God, where have you been all my life? You are the perfect vendor to solve our problem. And many of you have heard me talk about Uncle Sam, solve a problem, address an issue, or meet a need. That's what your unique proposition is focused on. How you uniquely take your capabilities and solve and bring value to those customers. 9 is buying triggers. When do they buy? Do they buy? We all know we're going into the fourth quarter. Going to be a frenzy of buying because the government didn't receive its money until late. But sometimes they may buy something once a year, once every 3 years, 5 or 10 years. Number 10, what is your unique value proposition? Can you clearly articulate what sets your product or service offering apart from your competitors? You want to keep it specific, simple, and clear. And it's not about what you can do. It's about what the client wants, needs, according to their problems, their issues, and needs. Number 11, what kind of supporting evidence or past performance case studies do you have to support the confidence in your solutions? Maybe it's in your in your certifications. Maybe it's in the expertise of you and your people. You want to make sure your sales pipeline is quality. Regularly evaluating your pipeline to ensure you've got a high percentage of ideal target clients. Focusing on maintaining a healthy and qualified pipeline to improve sales outcomes. You want to recognize number 13. You want to recognize bad customers. I always say every dollar ain't a good dollar. You might get $1 million contract, but you are going to earn every single bit of that money because the client is high maintenance. And so you need to know, that's not for me. That's important in targeting the ideal customer. You need to know it's not a good fit and that you want to avoid clients that waste your time, resources, and energy without adding significant value. 14, you want repeat business and referrals. Target customers who are likely to bring you back, that are likely to say, hey, oh, you've done this so well. Can you do something else? Everybody's out chasing all these new customers. And I keep hitting the button saying, hello, hello, hello. The cost of customer acquisition is high. The cost of a customer acquisition is high. So not only bloom where you're planted, but spread out and grow like vines in areas where you are, because it's less money, cost, and time, energy to expand in a customer base or agency where you're already located. And you've got past performance in their agency, and they say, hey, they understand how we do our mission and why we do our mission. Engagement, develop engagement strategy, which is number 15. You want to develop a clear plan for engaging with the right stakeholders, and again, this is about knowing who the decision makers and influencers are and figuring out if they're going to be at an AFCEA, if they're going to be at SAMI. I'm big on going to these professional association engagements where they're bringing in decision makers, influencers, and strategic thought leaders that are specifically tied to your industry, your community of interest, or your industry. That means IT, HR, health IT, construction, etc. 16, you want to make sure that you're in regulatory compliance and have and all any and all certifications, etc., that are required. And then the last two are, and I'll go back through them again, market 17 is market positioning. How do you position your offerings to differentiate yourself from others, right? That you can do it better, faster. Cheaper isn't always um, a priority of the government, even though people might think so. It is oftentimes about, can you do it in a way that reduces risk, that ensures a higher level of success, that allows them to achieve their mission or serve their population in a better and more significant way. Oh, by the way, if it's a law, if it's a regulation, if it's been in the news, they're willing to pay more if you can bring value that will make them make that problem, issue, or need that they're dealing with go away. And then 18, cultural alignment. You want to make sure, alignment with values and, building trust, integrity in all interactions. And then 19, communication and transparency. Be honest. If a government person comes to you and says, hey, can you do this? And you can't say no, but I know somebody who can, or I have a partner who can do that. Be transparent about your timelines, challenges, to build credibility. So I'm going to give the 19 to you again. We're at 8:04. The first one is clarity of goals. Why are you targeting the federal government or that particular agency? Number two, knowing who the decision makers and influencers are. It's key. Oftentimes they're not the ones where you can find their name readily available. You need to do a little research. 3, making sure that you understand the client's values and needs. Uncle Sam solved their problem, address their issue, meet their needs in a way that you bring your capabilities specifically to do that. Number 4, target industry, making sure that you are in the industry you need to be. I think I talked about, looking at some of the smaller agencies, looking at state, local, and education industries, port authorities. They all need IT, HR, they need everything. A larger, cities need things, school districts need things, universities, etc. And target the geography. Sometimes understanding this geography may need something, California may need something different than Georgia. And also understanding what the unique nuances are based on geography, and understanding that your user may be in one location, but the buyer who's executing that contract may be in another. And then target size, ensure that your solution matches that. Number 7, target your buyer. Finding the right individual, because the buyer may be the program manager who's driving the requirements, not necessarily the contracting officer. And then 8, what are the attributes of your ideal clients? That has to do with not only if I had a client with this situation, our solution, a product or service would be perfect, as well as you want to understand, all of the other, I call it, environmental influences that may drive that. Buying triggers. What key events drive them wanting to buy? Sometimes that's political. Sometimes that's environmental. Sometimes that's financial. All of those things. Number 10, what's your unique value proposition? Number 11, supporting evidence is your past performance. 12, making sure you keep quality target clients in your pipeline. 13 is recognizing bad customers, the ones that waste your time, resources, and energy and really don't add any value and make you work way too hard for that, for the money. 14, repeat business and referrals. Again, it's customer acquisition cost is high. Expand where you are already entrenched in that agency or organization. Drill in your own backyard. 15 is engagement strategy. You need to have a strategy, not just go to any and all events. It should be very focused on, I'm going here because I understand I'm going to meet somebody that's going to get me closer to the client or to the opportunity. 16, regulatory compliance. 17, market positioning, understanding how your offerings, how your products or service bring specific value and solve their problem. Number 18 is culturally aligning with the customer or the target client. And 19 is communication and transparency. So I hope that by considering these 19 factors, it might help you more effectively engage and target your clients. If you have questions, please feel free to send me a message or just post in the comments of this event, and I'll be happy to answer them. I want to thank you for joining me for this pop-up session. I'm trying to do more of those. I really do love this space. I especially, even though I'm a data gal, I really think the untapped area for government contractors to understand is the relationship piece. Understanding not just networking, but how do you build relationships intentionally and strategically to influence the outcome. So my name is Michelle Gardner-Ince, aka GI. I help women, veteran, and underserved community CEOs achieve success through business strategies. I also help create strategic engagements and interactions so that you can increase your supplier diversity results. But most of all, I'm just here to serve. It is my mission. It is my ministry. And I'm honored by all of the small businesses who trust me and allow me to have a front row seat to their success and believe that in some way I can help them speed their journey of business success in some way. Thanks, and we'll see you next Wednesday, 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Demystifying Government Contracting. And if you have a topic you want me to cover, don't hesitate. Send me a DM. I'll see if I can bring some folks together. And I believe we got an amazing team who can answer just about anything. If not, we'll bring some speakers for you. And if you want to be a speaker on the GI Factor podcast that's coming soon, just give me a holler. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks again. I appreciate you. God bless you. I'm going to end this like I end every session of Demystifying Government Contracting with what my sister in service, Lori Smith, calls the business benediction. And everybody said amen. May God bless you. May God bless you. May God bless you indeed. May he enlarge your territory. May he prosper your business. May he make your vision plain. May he restore anything that has been taken, stolen, and bring it back tenfold. May he order your steps. But most of all, may he bless you, bless you, bless you indeed. It has been my pleasure. My name is GI. Good night, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.